This segment is brought to you by St. Martin and Bourke. Know your rights. All right, we're back, and a little history happened on Saturday. The old Fakier Jewelers building on Main Street. Well, they demoed it for future progress in the area and parking and some different things. Joining me now here in the set is Greg Fakier, who a lot of people know in the area, has Fakier Jewelers right across the street from HTV. He'll give us a lot of the history of that building. And Ricky Filio was there, took pictures of it actually going down. So good to have both of you on. How are y'all today?
Thank you. Just fine.
Very good.
Just fine.
And before I get to the actual thing, Greg, you know a lot of the history of that building. How long were y'all in that building, Fakier Jewelers?
50 years exactly. The renovation took place in 1967, and then we exited the building to go into our new facility in 2017. So we got 50 years, good years out of that building.
Let's bring up some pictures too that Ricky had sent us also. You had beams in the building that said People's Lumber Company. There you go.
Yeah.
That's a lot of nostalgia. And Greg, by the way, my condolences for Miss Patsy. I know you back and forth with the funeral and the burial. So
Thank you.
she would have known who had those beams and who made them.
And she would have known that. She
Yeah,
would have known
no
that.
doubt about it. But a lot of history there. And you don't know if it was on previous to the Fox Theater because you said they had windows in the back, right?
That's a mystery now, and hopefully somebody watching the program can reach out and explain it to us. But there was about a 25-foot section that was added on to the backside. That was a different brick, and there was two huge windows that were bricked in as well. So if those windows were open at some point in its history, then it surely wasn't for the Fox. The Fox, we've got a historic photograph with the Fox having movies 1927-ish. So we know we're 100 years right there, from that theater, the theater part. But what was it before the theater? We're not sure.
Somebody, Ricky, you were there in the early days for the movie.
Yeah,
right?
well, just so happened this morning, I called a friend of ours, Mike St. Martin,
Yeah.
to see when if he remembered it as before it was the Fox, and he said no. Ever since he was a kid, it was the Fox, and since he was gone as a little boy, watching Lash LaRue movies and all. And that's what I asked him. I said, "Did they have any sound back then, or what?" He says, "Well, something to do with his response was something to do about another name for a donkey and a depression in the ground, put it that way."
Yes.
And he said, no, it's always been the Fox when he was younger. But like Greg said, it was added on to, so there was something, there before, I would imagine.
Let's roll in some time lapse too that we received from Terrebonne Parish, and we're going to get that up and rolling because it was, whenever you see this, it's progress. We get it, but so many memories, Greg, in that store, right?
A lot of memories. It sure was.
And when they condemned the parish parking garage, that presented a problem for us because I work for RPC.
Correct, yeah.
And I'm a facilities manager, and we had 64 spots up on that garage. So when it condemned, we were scrambling for parking down here, as we all know that, with the parish government also too. So when Greg, had it was for sale. So we ended up purchasing it. And Stacy Campbell really wanted to keep the building up because of the historical value, because we were going to make it indoor parking to drive in through the side and come out the front. But logistics and everything else for what we wanted to do it to bring it up to, to code and stuff, it just didn't go. So she made the choice that we had to take it down and use it for parking, but then it's going to be utilized for the parish too. Also, they had the big boucherie here, and it's right next door to the parking lot adjacent to it. So it'll open it up for some businesses downtown.
There's a lot of history in there, and just let me ask Ricky real quick. We don't have a whole lot of time left. You find any gold out there? Anything?
Well, looking for diamonds and everything else, but Greg assured me that was his. And before he left and built his new place, that he magnifying glass and all. And I think we have a picture of him trying to open the safe back up again. And that was one of the hardest things to demo, was that safe, because it was reinforced. There's Greg, one last time.
Nickel in there.
Yeah, but that was all reinforced. I mean,
You still remember the combination?
That's what's the funny thing is 40 years of opening that safe, and I could not remember that combination.
But I know it's a piece of history. And, you know, Greg, I'd like to get you back on. We could do a matter of fact, I ought to do a one-on-one with both of y'all. Y'all know so much about the area, but would you come back on and we'll talk more about the history of it? Because it's a fascinating story, and just the amount of people that have gone through that store.
Yes.
And Ricky, I know you're big on preservation of some things, you know.
You gotta make for progress, you know, and downtown, to rejuvenate downtown, like I said, as far as the booster,
ran out of
everything
parking.
we have in the parking area, but that'll opening it up for other people and for other events that's going to be happening there. So, you know, there was, I know it's Greg, I took a picture of him watching it. It was sad to see it come down,
It
so.
is. What we'll do on Facebook and YouTube, just to let everybody know, we're gonna put the full video so you can see it, and we'll tag it. I want to thank Greg for coming in on a tough day. I know he's going back to the burial of Miss Patsy Fakier. And Ricky, thank you for the pictures.
Oh,
and
appreciate
for
it.
coming in.
Appreciate
All right,
it.
there you have
Pleasure.
it, a little history here in the parish. Don't forget, the video will be on Facebook and YouTube. This segment was brought to you by Cypress Stop, home of the happy customer.